A long, long time ago, there was an ambitious student of Buddhism. He wanted to learn it. He wanted to reach enlightenment. So he sought out a Zen master, a famous master, and he asked him, "Master, how long would it take for me to reach enlightenment?" The master looked at him quickly and said, 10 years. The student was exasperated. He's like, "Wait, master, you don't understand. How long if I try so hard?" And he was cut off immediately at that sentence. And the master said, "I misjudged. It'll take 20 years. And the student, went out of control. He's like, "You don't understand, master, and he was cut off immediately again. And the master looked at him and he said, "For you, 30 years. One step at a time. When life feels impossible, this mindset not just becomes practical, but essential. You know, in our line of work, we're in front of screens all the time, screens and lights indoors. So whenever I get a chance, I try to get outside, enjoy the outdoors. And in America, we have an amazing national park system. And as you know, I've been everywhere from Alaska to Florida. It's wonderful, escaping technology, people, busyness, stress, to the wonderful enjoyment and freedom of the outdoors. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. I've done so many hikes, from California to the Smoky Mountains. Hiking is so much fun. The planning of it, the preparation, the actual climb itself, the views. It's so freeing and it fills you with a sense of accomplishment and wonder and respect for nature. But after hiking so many places in America, I started to look at other places. What more could I hike? What's a real big challenge for me? So of course, let's go tackle the largest freestanding mountain in the world. Yes, you guessed right. We're going to Tanzania. We're going to hike Kilimanjaro. So Kili is about a 40-mile hike that takes 6 days, 4 days up and 2 days down. You cross several ecosystems, from savanna, tropical rainforest, alpine desert, and glacier. So Kili itself, it's not a technical hike. It's not steep, a mountain like this. It's more shaped like this, and the top is blasted off because it used to be a volcano. So for the most part, you're actually hiking fairly horizontally. It is long though, and at the top, you can suffer from altitude sickness. So our guides, who are phenomenal by the way, they're the only reason we made the hike, they gave us good instructions and mental advice to get over hurdles on the way to the top. And I'm gonna share them right now with you. So number one, which is super important, and these carry over into life, is be positive. Number two was drink well. So we had to drink anywhere from 3 to 5 liters each day, and that you should totally be drinking water. Number three, eat well. So whenever we had to stop, it was time to eat lunch, it was time to eat breakfast, and it was time to eat dinner. I made sure I slammed down food no matter what. Even if I didn't find it appealing, I just inhaled it because that's what you had to do to give yourself the energy for a full day of hiking. Next, sleep well. Again, another thing that translates into life. You want to be well rested for the next day's activities. You need to be locked in, and sleep is part of that recovery. The next one was make sure that you talk to your guide. Anytime you had an issue with altitude, with cramps, with any kind of pain, just talk to them. Talk to an expert always in times of need. And there's two more which are super important. One is never give up, okay? That's always true in life, right? And the last one, which is perhaps the most important for everything that we're talking about today, is Swahili, pole pole, which means slowly, slowly. And that's the only thing that went on in my mind as I walked every single day, because we have our backpack. It's tough, it's long, it's never ending. You just keep going, you're on top of the clouds and you're like, when does this climb end? Especially on the last day, in the middle of the night when the wind is howling against your face. Why did I sign up for this? Why did I pay money to do this? Will I make this? I can't breathe, I'm in pain, I'm tired, I feel dizzy. All of that vanished away with just a simple mantra in my head. There's only two things going in my head. 1, 2. 1, 2. That's it. I didn't care about sleeping. I didn't care about eating. I didn't care about drinking. All those things had set times. There's only one thing when I was climbing, and that's 1 foot in front of the other. And sometimes that's how you have to take life, when you have huge goals, hairy, audacious goals that scare you, that terrify you, that seem unaccomplishable. Just take it one step at a time. It's the aggregation of marginal gains. You see, working out one day probably won't change your life. It might kickstart something, but just one day out of 365 days, probably nothing. 2 days, probably nothing either. After a week, you might feel a little good about yourself. Maybe after a month, you start seeing some changes. Maybe after 3 months, you start looking very different. People start to notice the changes. And maybe 6 months down the line, you've developed a new habit that's given you confidence, boosted your mood, and made you stronger, fitter, not just in body, but in mind. So you've really created a habit that's changed you. But you don't start off with the 6-month goal in mind. You start off not even one day at a time, or one set at a time, or one exercise at a time. You start off with 1 rep at a time. Execute it as close to perfection as you can, and you keep moving forward. Little things add up over time. That's a whole concept of investing. And that's the thing about life. Living in the past tends to bring up depression. Thinking about the future tends to bring up anxiety. But right now, here, the present, that's where happiness is. So stop replaying regrets and losses. Stop fearing what's yet to come. Happiness comes from embracing the life that you have right now. We tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in a single day. We want to get through it all. Work, goals, relationships, all at once. And that's where it becomes overwhelming. But we tend to underestimate how much we can achieve in a single year or even a lifetime, especially if we move forward steadily, 1 day at a time. It's okay if all you did today was survive. Progress doesn't need to look like giant leaps. Sometimes the best way forward is just taking 1 step.
Hey, hey.